Well, good evening. I'm John LeDoux, the Superintendent of the Centro Elementary School District. I welcome you to the special meeting tonight as we discuss the reopening of the Centro School District elementary facilities for our students. Tonight, we're going to talk about various aspects of our school opening and our operations so that you as parents can decide if you're ready to send your children back to school. We sure look forward to seeing them, and we want you to have all the information you need to make that important decision. So let's get started. So tonight we're going to talk about 6 different things. First, we're going to start with talking about what our goal is for reopening. We're going to define what the hybrid program is. We're going to discuss your options as parents. We're going to present our in-person schedules. We're going to answer some of those questions that you've sent in to me to answer tonight. And we'll review the safety improvements and protocols at our schools. Our staff has been busy preparing our schools for your children, and we want to go through some of those things with you so you feel confident that sending your child back to school is a safe plan for you. All right, well, the goal of the hybrid program is quite simple. We want to provide an opportunity, no matter how limited, for a safe option for students to be in the same room as their peers and teachers to address academic concerns and social emotional learning. We know that being at home and on distance learning for the last year now has been very difficult for our students. It's also been difficult for our staff, and we look forward to seeing your child back at school. So we're giving an opportunity for both the teacher and the student to connect in the coming weeks. Let's talk about what a hybrid program is. Quite simply, a hybrid program is just that. It's the combining of 2 different programs into one. So in our case, a hybrid educational program refers to the fact that a student will learn both through distance learning and through in-classroom experiences. You have to remember that when we go to a hybrid program, your child will still be spending some time online on Zoom with their teachers and peers, but there'll also be a component where we invite them into the schools to spend some time with their teachers. Let's discuss your options as parents. You have 2 options, basically. One is to continue remote learning exactly the way we're doing it now, pretty much the same schedule, and continue for the last 9 weeks of our school. Many of you have told us that that's what you would like to continue doing, and we will support that. We'll continue providing a great program through our Zoom and remote learning with our teachers. The other option you have is to come onto the campus for a few hours a day and attend distance learning part of the day. So you're at home on Zoom part of the day, and then attending school part of the day on campus. So let's go through now what we're suggesting as schedules for our students, and we'll explain the rationale behind the schedules as we go forward. But let's start off with discussing how long our students will be on campus. So in our grades TK through 6th grade, that's transitional kindergarten through the 6th grade, all of our students will attend that choose to come on campus Tuesday through Friday for 2 hours per day. In grades 7 and 8, Tuesday through Friday will be on campus for 90 minutes per student. Our Monday schedule will remain the same. So what we've been doing on Monday, that schedule will stay exactly the same. And we're talking about our students coming back to school for either 90 minutes or 2 hours, depending on what grade level they are in. Let's look at each grade level's schedules and the times that they'll be on campus. So right now we have TK and K coming on first on campus. They'll be joining us at 11:45. They can actually be on campus by 11:30, and they will be dismissed at 1:45. In grades 1 and 2, we'll be starting at 12 o'clock, and we'll be ending at 2 o'clock. Grades 3 and 4 will be starting at 2:15, ending at 2:15. And grades 5 and 6 will be going from 2:30, excuse the typo there, until 2:30 p.m. So 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. The reason for the varied times, the staggered times, is because we'll be doing health checks as the students come in, and we need adequate time to check the temperatures of all the students entering campus. For 7th and 8th grade, we have a similar schedule, and that is at Wilson Junior High will be going from 1 to 2:30 p.m. And at De Anza Magnet School, those 7th and 8th grade students will be going for 2 hours. De Anza is considered an elementary school, so their 7th and 8th grade students will be going to school for 2 hours during the school day. So as an example, you will note that the remote learning portion of the schedule is the same for all students. We'll ask you to advance the slide now, Tony. Thank you. Note that the remote learning portion of the schedule is the same for all students. So those staying on distance learning will continue that exclusively. And those in a hybrid schedule will follow the schedule that we just discussed. The difference is that those students in the hybrid learning will attend school during that time that they would normally be doing the independent work at home, also known as asynchronous work. So let's look at a hybrid schedule sample. This is for 3rd and 4th grade. It's not exactly the schedule that I just showed you, but it's an example of what the students will be looking at during the school day. So it would start out with the teacher office time, and this is where students can drop in, ask the teacher questions, get some answers. And then from 9:15 to 11, they would spend their time on Zoom with their stretch breaks, little breaks we take during the morning. From 11 to 11:30 would be our English language development for those students. The teacher has a lunch period. And then starting from 12:15 to 2:15, we would have 2 programs going. Those that are in person on campus and those who are working independently at home, or what we call asynchronously working at home. And so while a student is on campus and their peers are doing the asynchronous work, that is the work that will be assigned for that day. There is no expectation that a student that comes on campus would have to return home and do the additional work that the other students are doing. Now you can find all of our schedules that I just mentioned and in depth the entire day. So your remote learning part and the in-person learning part can be found at our website, which is ECESD.org. And if you scroll down that front page, you'll see a link that looks exactly like what's on the screen. It says hybrid learning schedules. Click that on and you'll find all the various grade schedules and for each grade from TK through 8th grade. Now let's move on and answer some of the questions that you've asked us over the last few weeks. And the first one's pretty basic. It ties into the scheduling that we were just doing. Why are we doing this schedule? Why are we having the in-class learning in the afternoons instead of the mornings? And why only 2 hours? And these are very good questions. And we understand that our schedules will not be convenient for many of our parents. We understand that. We've heard from both sides of the coin there. We've had many parents tell us that these are working hours, that it's very hard to get off to take their students both to school and home afterwards. And we understand that. This program will not work for all of our students. We've also heard from many parents who have told us that the schedule works exactly right for them based on their work schedules. So I do want you to know that there is a rationale for the reasons for this schedule. And we're going to go through a few slides and discuss what that is. The first one is that this schedule is the least disruptive to our students. The majority of our students, about 55% of them will be coming on campus, but that means 45% of our students, about 2,500 students will be still at home, staying on the same schedule they are now. You have to remember that each teacher must teach all the students on their class list, regardless of the model or where the students are at the time. So it is very important that those students who choose to stay on remote learning have the morning instruction so they can complete the afternoon work. During this morning instruction, all the students that are coming on campus will also have an opportunity or be required to attend class with their peers as they do now. And then the afternoon is the asynchronous part. So students on remote need to have the lessons taught for the day and given their assignments. It's very important we have a flow through the day. So remember that in-class learning replaces the independent asynchronous work time in the current schedule. So like I said, I'm just going to repeat myself again. The students that are staying home on the distance learning will be doing their work for the day. The students at the exact same time will be in class, will be learning the same concepts in a different manner. So it's very important that the teacher is able to control the time spent both with those students in class and those that are working independently. It is also necessary to one aspect of coming back during a pandemic is that we have to be prepared for all eventualities. And so it may be possible that a class or a school needs to close for a few days while we investigate a possible COVID-19 positive test. In that case, it's necessary to resume the remote learning only or distance learning only model, where we notify parents that the following day, the only model we'll be having for that class, school, or the district will be through remote learning. And so by having a schedule that works for all students from the morning to the afternoon, it's important that we will be able to switch back and forth at a moment's notice. So it's not feasible that we have our kids at home doing something different or at a different time than the kids that are doing the in-school learning. Our next question has more to do with logistics. How many students will be in the class with my child? And I just want you to know that we are following the CDC and the California Department of Public Health guidelines for distancing in our class. You may have heard that that distance has been reduced to 3 feet between students. In our classes right now, we are trying to distance, making every attempt to distance as far as possible. And most of our classes are set up right now for 6 feet distancing between the students. That means that in most classes, we can accommodate between 17 and 22 students. We do have a few oversized classrooms in the district that can handle a few more than 22, but 22 is our goal right now, and what we are focusing on for distancing to make sure our students are safe in the classroom. Our next question has to do with uniforms. Very basic question, but will my child be required to wear a uniform during this time? And the answer to that is quite simple, no. We are going to ask that our students dress appropriately for school. We know that this is not the time to buy uniforms. It's very, very difficult to find uniforms. Plus, we know the kids are going to grow through the summer. We do not want you to have an expenditure for just a few weeks on campus. We'll just ask that the students that come on campus dress appropriately, that they wear clothes that are appropriate. Your school is going to advise you of the dress code for your school, but it won't involve uniforms. However, if your child has uniforms, we encourage you to have them wear them to school. It's very convenient for you. Next question has to do with the National School Lunch Program that we provide in our district. As a side note, our school district has now provided almost 2 million meals to our community, and we're going to continue to do that while the students are in school learning. We're going to have a couple of opportunities for students to get meals. The first one will be that as they leave the school each day, we're going to provide a lunch and a breakfast for the following day. Please note, we will not be feeding the children at school. They need to come to school having eaten their lunch, which we'll provide the day before. You can take it home and put it in your refrigerator. We'd ask that your child be well fed when they come to school each day, as we will not be serving lunch on campus per our safety guidelines. But we will be sending home a meal with them each day if they so choose. Families may also continue to pick up meals from our community feeding program. The next question has to do with options. And this is, what if I decide to change options? What if I'm at home doing distance learning? I would like my child to go to school. Or what if I signed up for in-school learning and I've decided that's just not going to work for my family? Can I change my options? And the answer is yes, to a degree. If you are home on distance learning and you request to go back on campus, you may be subject to a waiting list depending on the capacity of the classroom. Every student that has signed up so far has a place in the classroom, but at this point, if you change classrooms, it's possible. We have about 6 or 7 classrooms in the district out of our 265 that are at capacity right now. The rest do have room for your child, so you will be able to come on campus if you so desire. You just need to go back to the link where you signed up originally and put the information again. We use the last information you've given us to make a decision. If you are in school and you want to go back to remote learning, you can do that as well. But please know that if you make that option, you've possibly given up that seat to a student that wants to come on campus. And if you change your mind again, you may be on a waiting list to come back. We will accommodate parents as much as we can to the safe capacities of our classrooms. So our next question is an important one. What happens when an employee or a student tests positive for COVID-19? I will tell you that when this happens, we take it very seriously. We have great contacts with the Imperial County Department of Public Health that guide us through the process. There are many variables in the decision on whether a school will open or close due to a positive test. And that has to do with our contact tracing, who the person has been around, if they've been around students, if they were secluded during the time they're on campus. And the health department guides us through that and allows us to make those decisions with them on whatever is appropriate at the time. Just know that at the end of the day, you may get a call from us saying that tomorrow we're on remote learning. We will explain the situation to you. Your principal will send out a message on Classroom Dojo, letting you know if we're going to remote learning or if we're coming back to school if there's a positive test. So when can I learn more about the procedures at my child's school? Well, I can tell you that every school in the district in the next 3 days are holding their own meetings with you this week, the parents of your schools. You should have received a notice through Classroom Dojo It's also listed on their social media accounts. So if you have questions for your principal, you will have an opportunity to email those questions to your principal. They will address them in their meetings that are coming up very shortly. Now, as part of our commitment to making sure we're ready, our district has spent millions of dollars getting our schools ready for you. We have many projects on the horizon to make sure that we're even safer in the fall. But we want to go through a few of the protocols and improvements that we've made in our district for the upcoming in-person learning. So we're going to go through that rather quickly and let you know that we have some protocols in place. Every child will be wearing a mask at school. Every child will have a temperature check when they come into school. They will be given hand sanitizer as they walk through, and they'll be encouraged to distance the entire time they're on campus. One thing to note in this next slide is that the students will stay with their own class throughout their time on campus. Your child's teacher, one or two teachers, will be the only teachers or adults that your child comes in contact with. And that's part of our commitment to make sure we're distancing and following safety procedures. So if you're in second grade, you'll be coming on campus, going directly, your child will be, you won't be. Your child will go directly to their classroom and they'll be with their teacher until it's time to dismiss them. When they go out to play and go to PE, there's designated spots in the playground where only their classroom will be interacting. One thing that our district has done that we found to be of vital importance is to augment our health services department. And so we are hiring, we've actually hired 11 health assistants to assist throughout our school district, where every school site will have a full-time health assistant. They'll be helping screen the students, and also if there is any sign of illness, and it could be what we normally think of school nurses as taking care of boo-boos and owies on the playground, but they'll also be screening for any symptoms of any sickness and contacting parents. Each of our schools now has a health center on site with cots and barriers and all the materials needed for a child to be segregated safely until their parent is able to pick them up. One thing that's very important to know is our ingress and egress plans. This is quite simply how do kids get on campus and get off campus each day. So when you come to the campus, and your school principal is going to tell you where you need to drop off your students, it's a very school-specific direction they will be giving you. Your child's teacher will be on a banner at one of the gates to the school, and your child is only to use that gate to go in and out. This allows us to separate classes throughout the front of the school as we enter them on the campus and get them checked in, and they'll be using those same gates as they leave at the end of the day. And this is another reason for the staggered schedules, to make sure we get students in and out safely on our campus. We've also invested heavily in cleaning protocols. Our staff has been trained to clean classrooms. And if there's a positive COVID-19 case, we have special protocols for that, for disinfecting the entire class. But we're also hiring numerous part-time custodians to help our regular custodial staff on campus to make sure that they are able to keep everything clean, our restrooms, our doors wiped down. In addition, every single site will have at least 10 people who are designated as yard supervisors, who will also be walking around the campus to make sure your students go to the right place, they use the correct restroom, they get back to their classroom safely. We'll have a lot of adults properly distanced from your child to make sure they get to where they need to be going safely, and that they're following the protocols both in the restrooms and on the campus. When it comes to transportation, very few of our students actually ride the bus. Mostly our students are transported from one school to another. And so the distancing will be taking place on our buses, where students will have designated spots to sit to make sure that they keep the distancing going on the school bus. Additionally, they will be screened prior to getting on the bus by a bus transportation assistant. We've hired several of these to make sure every bus has an additional person besides the driver to check our students' temperature and make sure that they are ready to get on the bus and that they're seated properly in their designated spots. I mentioned we're hiring many more pupil supervisors, and they will be, again, supervising our halls and making sure proper distancing and spacing is going on, as well as helping us keep the campuses clean. In addition, you'll see signage at the gates of the schools extensive signage to letting you know the directions, where you can go for information, and who is allowed on campus. Just a side note, I'm going to mention this again later, but only students and staff will be allowed on our campuses. Parents will have a spot where they can go and ask questions in front of the school, but under no conditions will any adults be allowed on campus who are not employed by us or our students attending school. Additionally, we provide personal protection equipment such as masks for all students who don't have them. We know that most of you have your own masks for your students you'd like them to wear, and that's wonderful. But if your child loses their mask during the day, or they forget to bring one from home, or they need one, we will have them available at every school site for your child. Additionally, you'll see that there are in the picture here, you see that there are barriers on the student desks. Those are available for the teachers to use. It depends on the class and the grade and the age level of the students, whether or not these are being used. These are actually not necessarily recommended by the CDC or the California Department of Public Health, but they are an extra step that we've taken to make sure our students have proper distancing in their classroom, that they can maintain that. In addition, we've also purchased numerous products such as hand sanitizers. You will see gigantic hand sanitizer dispensers are all through our campuses and our office, the district office, and that's to make sure our students have access to that at all times. Additionally, we will not be having recess during our in-time learning, but we will have PE, or your teacher will be taking the students out on an occasional basis to play games. We purchased enough playground PE equipment, balls and things of that nature for every class to not have to share with another class. So each have their own dedicated materials that have dedicated spaces around the campus so that they can stay distanced and enjoy being outside. However, our playground equipment will not be available. We know that it's very hard to disinfect the playground equipment, and we've heard from many parents that they're not comfortable with their child being on the playground equipment, so that will not be available. But our classes will be having activities outside. Additionally, ventilation is a very big component of our safety plan. So all 600 plus air conditioners in our school district have been retrofitted with what we call air scrubbers, which assists and makes the ventilation stronger in the classrooms. It is a outstanding filtering mechanism that we've added to every air conditioner in the district. In addition, we've ensured that all the doors and windows can open as appropriate for cross ventilation on those cooler days. But we want you to know that we've spared no expense in making sure that our schools are safe. Additionally, we have other safety protocols that are coming. We are buying shade structures for each school that are very large in nature that can accommodate the entire school for an assembly, and also provide options for eating outside for our students. We're also working on a plan to provide sinks in our classrooms. We do have numerous sinks at each school in modular classrooms that don't exist at the moment. And so we're going to be providing those to those classrooms as soon as possible. Many other safety protocols are in place. If you attend our school board meetings, which we've been having online, you have been hearing about our safety protocols and all the things that we're doing. And at our next school board meeting coming up in April, we'll be talking more about the safety things that we are instituting. At this point, I'd like to ask that if you have questions, that you email them to reopening@ecesd.org. That's reopening@ecesd.org. And this email, whatever your topic is, it will be addressed by the appropriate person in the school district. I doubt there's a question you can ask that we haven't been asked already, and we are prepared to answer. We will be putting a frequently asked questions site on our website where you can click on and see all the questions that are answered. We'll also individually answer each question as they are sent to us. So I know that's a lot of information tonight. I want to thank you for your patience. I highly encourage you to attend your school's presentation in the next 3 days, over the next 3 days, and make sure you're very prepared for your decision on whether you're ready to send your children back to our schools. It is totally your decision as a parent. We appreciate the work our teachers are doing. They're working so hard. This has been quite a year for all of us. We know it's been very difficult for you as parents and the learning at home that you've been doing. And we hope this additional option for you makes that a little bit easier. We welcome your comments. Please, again, send them in. We thank you for your time tonight, and we hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.